Hey guys, JLC here, and yeah, Airborne was arguably the worst update. Well, the worst major update. Obviously, it's not the worst update. That would probably be like one minor bug fix, but it's definitely the worst major update that Enlisted ever dropped. And yeah, they completely dropped the ball on this update. I've said it. Quite a few other people have said it. I know a lot of people have been defending this update, and all the power to you, but yeah, this is not a good update in my opinion, and I believe that they have they royally dropped the ball. And I know they did technically keep to all the promises that were made on the roadmap for this first update, but it really there really should have been a lot more with this update. So that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to be looking at what this update gave us, comparing it to other updates, and yeah, just then pretty much just saying what I think, this update should have been. And yeah, let us begin. So for the 5 people who don't know what this update is, here's the quick refresher. This is basically the cliff notes. It added in a premium squad to Normandy, which was airborne paratroopers. It added 3 levels in the Pacific, a new map for Normandy, tank stabilizers, which should have already been in the game to begin with. It added in the Amplimat for Berlin, and I believe Moscow as well also have it. Which, I mean, that's fair enough. It was a Stalingrad only feature, but hey, that one's okay, I guess. And that's it. That's all this update added for a major update. No, one map, 3 levels on one campaign. This wasn't like 3 levels across every single campaign. This was only on the Pacific. There was no, levels on any other campaigns. Pretty much Tunisia was untouched by this update. So was Stalingrad. Tunisia and Stalingrad were completely untouched. Berlin and Moscow really only got a minor thing. Normally got a new paratrooper squad, which, it's interesting they got a new paratrooper squad, and I think they need to add paratroopers quickly into the future, but this is where the big problems lie. This is very, very, very content scarce for a air quotes major update. Look at other major updates. I'm going to put a flash up of Burning Skies and Armored Train. So let me just show what Armored Train gave us. Now Burning Skies. And now look at what Airborne gave us. You can see there's a huge difference. Even, some of the updates like Armored Train, which isn't even that good of an update, it gave us a lot more than what this update gave us. And, obviously I've seen people defend it, like saying, oh, you can't compare it to other updates because it's an in-between update. But so was Burning Sky and Armored Train. They were in between Tunisia and Stalingrad. And they turned out to be pretty good updates, if we're being honest. Well, Burning Skies was a pretty good update. Armored Train, not so much. Now, obviously, just naming out the problems is completely worthless unless you give out the solutions to problems. And I've actually got a few solutions for this. So basically, the first one I need to address, I think this is the big elephant for what I would do to solve it, would definitely be adding the Airborne as their own level. I mean, we're hitting level 40 for both Normandy and Moscow, and I believe Berlin's quite close to level 40 as well. So give them air troop, give them the Airborne. We know, obviously, of course, the Screaming Eagles and the 82nd are in the game already. I know that. But, just give them that. And obviously, they're in Normandy as the premium squads. And also, of course, the Fallschirmjägers were a thing. Even in the early Moscow campaign, the Red Guard Airborne, I believe, were also a thing. So that ticks off the entire Eastern Front campaigns. Tunisia is a little bit weird. I don't know how they would do it, but I reckon they could probably do it with like maybe the 6th. I don't know if the 6th serves in Tunisia, the 6th British Airborne. I don't know if they did serve in Tunisia, so I don't know how they would do the paratroopers there, but I'm pretty sure there were Italian paratroopers. I hope there are, because then we could get them on all, we could get all factions. after they should be and they should be pretty much the same as the premium squad. But I would have a small difference. Make it so that paratroopers can only use specific paratrooper weaponries, like the M1 car. Like, make it so that you can verse it. If you wanted to, you could have 6-man squads of Thompsons, or you could give them, say, for example, an FG-42 or something like that. But don't give them they can only use MP-43s or they can only use stuff like that. You have, be a bit realistic with them. So, for example, if you want to have a big squad of MP-43s or big, the big guns, you have to have, that gives you the reason to grab the supply cache, which I would still keep, but that's where those special weapons would be alongside the weapons that you can get. But if you go for something which is a lot more portable, like an M1 carbine or the FG-42 or something like that, then you get airdropped with it. Obviously, that would be my way of doing it. Obviously, this isn't perfect. This isn't a perfect system, and that was just off the top of my head. So, but there's also some other things that I think this update should have done alongside, and honestly, yeah, I think that would have actually been a lot better system. Now I think of it, it would have been skill based, to say the least. You would have obviously, if you grab the weapon cache, you've got a lot of powerful weapons, but you're a massive target for the enemies, and when you don't have those weapons, unless you've gone for the FG spam, you are pretty exposed as a paratrooper, and you only be using pistols or something like that, which will leave you dangerously exposed. For the second update, I would have to say would be 100% another map. I'm sorry, but it would have to be another map, and I've actually got a good idea for this. It would either be in Moscow or Tunisia. Probably Tunisia, because Tunisia is quite forgotten, and they haven't really received a new map since Knife Cave Village. Moscow received, I believe it was the settlement map. They might have received another map, I can't remember if they have since that, but that was a great map, and I think Tunisia would do with a better map. I mean, I like Knife. I'm probably the only person in the world who likes Knife Cave Village, but yeah, I can understand why people hate it so much. Other than that, there's also 2 other features I think should get ported over. The second one, or the third feature that I was going to port back over, is kind of make level 40 a huge level. So you add in multiple squads for other campaigns, and for Berlin and Stalingrad, maybe not Stalingrad because it already has one of these, but add in motorbike squads for every other campaign other than Tunisia, and add medic squads into the other campaigns. The reason I'm saying this is because, I think, it would unify these. It would actually unify this a lot more now. And I'm not going to say that this is going to be this is what they should do. I mean, this is not saying this is what they will do, but this is something that I would probably have if I was doing this. The final feature that I would give with this update is actually one that I think would be very interesting, and it's one that they started hyping up, but they didn't release it. I believe they might release it in the next update. They should release it in the next update, probably. And that is just fixing custom games, and just improving custom games, making it so that you can have a certain number of specific things, locking, specific weapons and loadouts, so that you can only use certain weapons. So, let's say you're trying to do a Wild West, you can only use Winchesters and revolvers, or if you're only bolt actions only, or certain weapons only. Because to put it bluntly, customs, unless you're playing on a custom map which has gun game or something like that, you're not really gonna get much in terms of you basically, someone joins, you're at the mercy of whatever they bring. And I mean, hell, I do it all the time. I rock up with stuff like FG42 spam. I rock up with MG42s, MP43s, Thompsons, AVSs, PPSHs, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying I'm guilty of that as well, but you can lock stuff, and I think that would be kind of cool as well. I think that would be the big update as well, and it also will make those historical games that I know Quadro's been trying to do for a long time much more feasible, because then you don't have to rely on the person, people pretty much having to be honest, and instead you actually have a lot more, you can build the squads, and you can be a bit, I wouldn't say flexible, you can be a bit, historical. The reason I'm bringing this all up is because, well, I'm not the kind of guy who just wants Enlisted to crash and burn, but I think this update, it was very, it's bad, but it could have been a lot better, and with the right changes, it should have been a lot better. And honestly, I mean, it's Airborne squads, some of the most iconic. I mean, Band of Brothers, for example, is one of the most iconic war stories of all time. Pretty much everyone's seen Band of Brothers. It's a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it. And yeah, you can see why why people were really excited about Airborne. But I think the problem with this is that it sets a bad precedent for the future, because they've had two terrible updates, just back to back terrible updates. And I remember when the Pacific was being launched, I think they had a really bad update before that as well, before the Pacific. And I said the Pacific would either make or break Enlisted, and the Pacific was a good update, but my God, they need. Now, they do have that roadmap, but the problem is that the big content, that's going to be until, I think, around June, July, so the second quarter of the year, before they finally drop that. So yeah, we're going to be waiting for that, and then obviously around September, maybe or October, they're going to drop the full game, if the roadmap is to be believed. And yeah, I think this game is good, but the problem is that there's just so many problems with the game, and this update really has, shown a lot of its cracks. And I think they really should have done a lot more of this update. I think that's what I'm saying. They really should have done a lot more of this update. Anyways, I'm just going to end this video here. There's not really much else to say. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.